Welcome to the Law of Positivism podcast. I'm Shireen Oberg, and I'm a yoga teacher and author devoted to the path of healing and heart-based living. And I want to help you to step into what you truly are and to your highest potential. On this podcast, I share with you tools and insights to help you move ever forward on your spiritual and healing path. With guests from all over the world, from different wisdom traditions, I wish to create a web of loving energy that permeates the whole world to create more love and peace. You can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for more guidance and love. Blessed summer solstice and midsummer to all of you. I hope you had a magical week with this beautiful transition that we've been going through, having such powerful and potent energy of the sun and nature and fertility and abundance. And I just hope that you have just taken all that into yourself and gotten some new energy, new insights, just new passion. I hope that you are just doing beautifully, and we have just moved into Cancer season, which I love. It's my season, and it's really a time of slowing down and taking care of yourself. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so overwhelmed this week with love and gratitude because there's so much beautiful things that have been going on besides the solstice. My book just was released and I'm so happy. The Law of Positivism, Live a Life of Higher Vibrations, Love and Gratitude, and it's available to order, and you can find it on my website and on other major online shops and platforms. So I'm really grateful for everyone who's been supporting me on this journey. It was really like a birthing of something really important in my life, like a book baby. So it's been a huge blessing. I'm so grateful. And yeah, I will, this week I'm also hosting a celebration for the summer solstice, which will be before this episode airs. And I'm really so into this beautiful holiday, this celebration. And here in Sweden, we always celebrate midsummer a couple of days after the solstice. So it's a huge tradition here, just like Christmas. And I hope that you've been also doing some celebrations by being out in nature, being in the sun. And I'm so excited to share this week's episode with Jenny Janiki. She's a beautiful, beautiful being that I've met through a beautiful place here in Stockholm called Shambhala Gatherings, which I've hosted yoga retreat in, and it's out in the countryside in the middle of the forest by a lake, and it's so beautiful. And Jenny will be hosting a beautiful retreat there called Embody Your Feminine Essence. So she's here today to talk about the womb, the mysteries of the womb, healing the womb, and she's deeply passionate about supporting women in discovering their true feminine nature and awakening to their womb power. She has herself experienced the blessing of awakening her womb, heart connection as well, and understanding herself through feminine psychology, and loves to share this with women. And she believes that finding a deeply embodied connection to ourselves is the essence of healing. She's a dedicated student of Vedanta and has studied various forms of yoga and healing practices like yoga therapy, yoga for women, yoga nidra, craniosacral therapy, and feminine psychology. And she teaches womb healing yoga, yoga nidra, menstrual wisdom, and feminine psychology. And for her, Mother Earth is her feminine teacher, and she loves to dwell in the feminine mystery together with other women. And she believes that together in sisterhood we can heal and learn to understand ourselves as women. And I love this topic. We talk about things that are connected to her work, and how we all can work either physically or energetically with this womb space, and the connection also with devotional work and the goddess and the mother. So I love this topic, and I hope that this could be a beautiful way to come into this Cancer season, which is the womb. It is the motherly, it's the feminine, it's this connection with your emotions, your heart. It's a beautiful season to do this, and then also connecting with Mother Nature. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I also want to give so much love and gratitude and abundance to my show partners, Ace of Air, who are a newly launched beauty and wellness brand committed to products that put people and planet above all. Their line of clean, vegan, and cruelty-free skincare and supplements have been synergistically formulated at the intersection of herbalist wisdom and modern science, focusing on rituals that work from the inside out. Inspired by Mother Nature's ability to create abundance without waste, Ace of Air is the first and only beauty and wellness brand designed to be entirely circular and fully zero waste. You can explore and learn more at aceofair.com and find them also on Instagram. I usually post from their beautiful account on Instagram as well when I'm releasing the episode. I really love the connection of this episode with the work that Ace of Air is doing, honoring and taking care of Mother Earth as we are co-creating with her and learning from her cycles. And we can integrate when we learn about nature and how she operates to integrate that into the way we live and also how our body works. So check them out, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Hi, Jenny. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Shirin. Thank you so much. It's so good to be here with you.
Thank you so much for being here. And I would like to ask you what type of daily mindfulness or meditation practice that you have, that you do on a daily basis.
Yeah. What comes to me is one that I've been doing a lot lately because I've been pretty busy recently and I haven't had so much time for myself. And basically my favorite to-do practice when I need to connect to my body and to my womb is to, when I go to bed, I place one hand by my womb and one hand by my heart, and I just listen to myself. And I hold my hands with deep love and care and tenderness, and just to allow the impressions of the day to sink in and to come home to my feminine, to my being. So that's something that I do. I do it every night to reconnect.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that practice. So, Jenny, maybe you can tell the listeners who you are and what you do. We connected a while back ago. I came to your yoga retreat at Shambhala Gatherings here in Sweden, and it's been a beautiful journey to follow you. So maybe you can share your path with the listeners.
Yes, I would love to. So I am the heart behind A Feminine Way, which it's a healing path for women to come back to their feminine essence, to their feminine being, and to start communicating with their body and their sacred feminine centers, and then mainly the heart and the womb space is where I really love to go very deep into. So basically what I do is that I work with what I call womb healing yoga. And the word yoga doesn't really resonate so much, but that's where I'm coming from. I've been a yoga teacher for many years, and the practice has slowly evolved into a feminine practice and into connecting deeply to your womb. And the classes, they typically are very slow and deep. We do organic and sensual movements. We do breath work, sound practices, and then most importantly for me is the connection to the womb space, to start to listen to the womb deeply and her messages. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so beautiful, and such important work, and something that is emerging more and more in all of us to do this inner work and to combine. And I think it's beautiful that our yoga practice can evolve into other things that are more yin, more feminine as well, to suit our cycles and our body as well. So it's really just the consciousness and awareness of that, even in that stage in the beginning. When you start becoming aware, it's already beginning a healing process. So I love what you just described, and I'm really curious how you ended up on this path. And maybe you can also tell your story and your journey, being for so many years in Bali and doing all of that work. I would love for you to share that.
Yeah, I would love to share with you. Where to start? It's been such a deep and long journey for me. So I went to Bali. I think it's 14 years ago now, and it really changed my life on so many levels. And that's where I met yoga, and I became a yoga teacher myself. And I also met my teacher of what is called Vedanta. And that's where the really deep journey started for me. And he was also a beautiful teacher in terms of teaching about the feminine. So that's quite special that my first sacred feminine teacher was a man, and I learned so much from him. And from there on, it has just evolved. And the recent years, about 5 years ago, I had a very strong experience during my menstruation, where I had started developing quite a lot of menstrual cramps and heavy bleeding. And every time I was bleeding, I was really suffering. There was so much pain, and also a lot of pain in my heart that I couldn't really I couldn't understand what was going on, because I wasn't very connected to my body, even if I had done so many years of yoga and very dedicated to my practice, and I had really done so much to come into a deep relationship to myself. But still, the feminine connection was missing, and the womb connection, it didn't even exist to me, to think that I could have a connection to my womb. So there was this particular day that my bleed was starting, and I was in agony, and I was crying and cramping and lying on the floor, and actually the deepest pain was in my heart. And I realized that I have to do something. There's something that I am not paying attention to. So that was really the start of my journey. and I was looking for teachers, I was looking for help, I was looking for inspiration, and there wasn't so much around. So it's been quite a personal journey, because I haven't had many teachers in the feminine to get guidance from. And that has also been a grief for me, that I have so deeply longed to have an elder that could have taught me about when I got my first menstruation, and teach about sexuality and how it is to be a woman and all that we are facing. So yeah, the path started with this deep longing inside, and it led me to explore my own body, and especially my nervous system, to get to know and relate deeply to my nervous system. Because what I discovered was that there was a lot of stress and tension in me, and that was maybe the main blockage to access the wisdom of my womb, and to really come into the deep feminine body. So that's a part of the story.
That is so beautiful, and I can relate to so much of what you're speaking to, and it is really sad that our generation and the past generations have not been initiated into this our cycles, our body. We grow up knowing nothing about it, and actually suppressing it in many ways. And it's really that practice also creates a wound within us. So it takes as many years to just reclaim that, and to become comfortable and empowered in it, probably as much as we've been not being connected to it and suppressing it. So, and there's so many structural things that are affecting this relationship, and how we are allowed to express these feminine parts of us freely. So what you're saying is really something that I think many people resonate with. I meet a lot of people when I've been doing my acupuncture clinical practice, so many different issues that are connected to the reproductive health and the womb. And it also starts with the notion that this is like all our parts are so disconnected, that okay, we go to a specific doctor for this specific area, and then it's not connected to anything else. But the womb in Chinese medicine is connected to the heart, and it's so important. It's so connected with all of our emotional states and our organs and everything that's going on, and our like how we just our physical well-being is as well. It affects both ways. So just as you said, it's been really now it's more and more emerging, more guidance is coming out, and more teachers like you who are working with this, more healing, and just again, when we raise this awareness and consciousness into it, I think just that is healing on a collective level.
Yeah, thank you for reflecting that.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering how your own process was, and then I would also like to know, because I think many people out there are not even aware of this part of their body, and when we say womb, what it entails and what it means, and what is it energetically.
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing that I just wanted to share about what you so beautifully reflected was also what came to me in this process, was that it's been so empowering to realize that I can do this myself. uh, I don't really need the outside to to give me something, in that sense. Like, I have the power to heal myself. Because what I felt also was that the lack of initiation in my life, which is so important to ritualize, for instance, when we got our bleed, and all these things that was missing in my life. And as I mentioned, the grief of not having an elder that could guide me. So it's been such an empowering journey for me to realize that I can do it myself. I can reclaim the power of my womb, and I can reclaim my feminine connection to myself. And yeah, so my path, what comes to me as we are sharing now, is that one important part of it has been to embrace every part of me, of my being, every part of the feminine, every part of my wounds, my sorrows, what I feel that I am lacking, all the self-criticism. So these parts that we have learned, in my perception, to reject in our culture. We haven't learned how to be with pain, how to process it, how to be with our anger and our little ones inside that are hurting and feeling sad. So that has really been at the essence of my journey of learning how to self-mother myself, and to be the mother that I needed, to be that elder that I've been grieving that I didn't have. I could be that for myself. So that's been one of the biggest steps in my journey of womb healing. And so what is the womb, and what is the energies of the womb? It's such a big question, and I feel that the more that I inquire into it, the more I dive into the mystery. Because it is, to me, it is really such a mystery. And every day I am still figuring it out. What is the womb connection, and how can I get to know her, and how can I relate to her in the most healing, spiritual, and intuitive way? Because I have come to experience that she is really me. She is really the essence of me, my feminine essence. And she is the one that really takes me back to myself.
So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And that it's truly, like you say, it is a mystery, because it's, when we say it's a portal, it's like an understatement, because it's where everything starts, just as the earth is also a mystery, like the waters of it, and how the earth is also reflected in the womb. It's so beautiful. I'm thinking of the menstrual cycle as the volcanic flow of Mother Earth. It's really powerful, and to see that directly reflected in one's body. So in that way, I mean, traditionally, historically, it's so fascinating. And we just talked before the call, this conversation about the going into the underworld, and that deepest, darkest place, which is also in the womb, because that's where we start. And I think that the descent is very important, because it's a part of us that we cannot run from. We have to do it. And with our cycles, we do it almost every month if we're really in tune, then going deep into that. And there's a lot of healing to be done there. So if we always stay on the surface, we can't do that deep work. And I think it's so beautiful, because if you do study these ancient texts from about the goddess Inanna or Ishtar, which she was also called, the how it's described, she talks about her womb and yoni, and how proud and how important this essence is. And that's pre-taboo time, and like putting labels on things. It's really what it is. It's just pure and non-judgmental, and it's so programmed in us to not have the courage to be open with that. And then seeing how her stories little by little diminish, and how the patriarchal ways of seeing things and diminishing the importance of these different practices, and the connection to the womb and yoni proceeds, until it became something that was actually seemed to have just become something dirty, and not something where all life comes from. We are in that blood, we are in that lining, we are made from that. So I don't really understand how it came to that, but it's such a powerful thing. So probably in the shifts of the feminine and masculine that occurred, because I mean, I'm talking about texts that are thousands of years old. We go way back, and that is like it's an integrated wound that is within us. And as women, being in that mother lineage, it's really powerful, because we really, it's like uncut lineage. It's really pure. If you look at the mother to the mother to the mother, it's being in the womb space the whole time in this physical incarnation. So it's really interesting how we have come to deal with that. And then also the fact that we're not learning anything, and maybe it's getting better now, but I mean, we didn't learn anything about our cycles in school, or what it is. And then now as an adult, I learned so much about it, and also how to work more in a sacred way with this. Maybe you want to share, you have delved deep into this, maybe more sacred practices around the womb, the yoni, and the cycles.
I would love to. The first thing that comes to me when you say, you were saying that we are living in a womb, and that is such a profound statement, isn't it? How we have the Mother Earth is our womb that we are living on, and that's one of the most powerful practices that I have come to connect with is Mother Earth as the mother womb and the Earth Mother. And for me, when I was young, growing up in Norway, I've always had a very deep spiritual connection to the earth. And it's been such a beautiful discovery for me to connect to the earth in a feminine way, and to not even a feminine way, but also to explore my feminine through connecting to the earth, by going out into nature and to allowing her to fill my senses with goodness, and to fill my body with her healing power, because I have found that there is no place where I feel more deeply connected to myself, to my feminine, to my womb, than when I am out in nature. So that has become one of my rituals, to be out in nature and to connect with her. And I just feel so free and accepted by her. I feel so held. And quite often when I do my practice, I do it outside, and I can just feel that the strength of the practice is magnified when I do it outside in nature. And also, some weeks ago, or a few months ago, I had a women's retreat here in Shambhala, and on the last day we went out into the forest. We have such a beautiful forest here, and we went to this very sacred place, and we had a healing ceremony. And it's one of the most powerful ceremonies I've ever done. And I feel like one of the main parts of that strength was Mother Earth, and she was just showering us with goodness, with love, and with blessings. So that's a very powerful ritual for me, to connect my womb to the earth. And also when I am bleeding, I go out into nature and I place my root, my pelvic floor down into the earth, and I go on an imaginary journey with her, and I imagine how I root down into the earth, and also I receive her goodness, her healing energy, and I allow that to fill my womb, to fill my whole body. And there's such deep cleansing taking place when I do this practice.
That's so beautiful, and such a good way to just connect down into earth. Thank you for sharing that. It's really powerful, and as you said, we can heal ourselves, and we have nature, and also trusting that everything that's happening within us is part of our journey, because we have so many different things manifesting in our body in different ways. And right now, I think the past year has been a little bit extra for many women and sensitive, highly sensitives, and this is directly reflected in the womb, and we've seen that just a wave of things coming up for many women and womb bearers. And I think it's a call also to connect deeper. We can't just suppress it and ignore the signals. And I think working in different ways on a physical, emotional, spiritual, energetic level is so important in this work. And it's not something that you feel, it's usually not something that you think about intellectually and then you do it. It's something that really comes. It's like a force that is natural, and we start remembering why and how. So it's like it feels so natural when you start it, even though if someone would have asked like 10, 15 years ago, you would have thought it was like something completely different than what you thought. But when you open that portal, it doesn't stop. And I think really it starts, like you say, like when we talk about the feminine, for me it's really, I've had like a spiritual faith and a belief my whole life, but when I connected with the feminine, I was surprised, because I thought to myself, how like the practices that we have and the way we see the divine, we have forgotten about the divine feminine, which is the goddess tradition that we all come from as well, and that I can see also in my heritage and the old Mesopotamian stories and things that I'm diving deeper into now, that we came from that. So it's just so interesting how we've forgotten so much, but now remembering, because there is an emergence, and there's this remembering that is going on a higher level. And I think this past year has been a huge initiation for many of us in many ways to do this work. And I see it all around me, and it's manifesting in different ways, but it's a remembrance of her. And I think for me, working with the goddess, being in devotion and in worship of the goddess is really an important path on for me. And I want you to also maybe talk about that part, and the because you facilitate beautiful, when we were there, also beautiful pujas or worshipping rituals. And how have you come into that, and how do you work with that aspect?
The one thing that I wanted to pick up on, which I think is relevant, is that how you were saying that this is not an intellectual journey or so much something to understand or to intellectually grasp. It's really so much the journey of slowing down so that we can start to feel ourselves again, so that we can start to come into the feminine feeling body. And there is where we will find the wisdom that we might intellectually try to understand, because we haven't learned that the wisdom is inside of us. It's in the body of the feminine. That's where we can find her. That's where we can start to get to know our own unique feminine essence, which we all have. All women have it. And I remember in myself, I didn't think I had it, because I couldn't feel it. I couldn't grasp that I had the divine feminine abiding in me. And so another step on my journey was connecting to the goddess, to what I like to call the Great Mother, which is maybe something that we can all relate to, the Great Mother energy, essence. And nowadays, I often pray to her through my body. And I do that by doing certain healing practices. And I use my body as a prayer. And I do also pray to her. Every day I pray to the Great Mother, to Goddess. I pray to her to open up my womb. I pray to her to reveal the wisdom of my womb. I pray for healing. And I see that as one of the first steps of embodying the feminine in us, of starting our healing journey, to pray. Because often when we are facing the wounds that are arising, when we start to inquire into the feminine, where we are carrying so much wounds and there is so much pain. So we can feel quite afraid of going there. And I have seen that in many of the women that I have been working with, that it feels really scary to step into the feminine realms and to face ourselves. And in my experience, the Great Mother has really been the warm embrace when all the pain has been arising, and all the memories, and just acknowledging to myself how much pain I am carrying around myself, and my connection to myself as a woman, and my body, my sexuality, my menstruation. So she has really been the loving guiding force, and also, as I mentioned previously, with getting to know my psychology and to self-mother myself, I have really turned to the Great Mother, and I have journeyed with her, and I have imagined how is the Great Mother, how would she talk to me, how would the most loving mother I could ever imagine, how would she embrace me, how would she look at me. And I pray that may she reside in my body, may she be the one that holds my pain. And as I start to journey into the dark depths of my womb, where I will meet pain, I will meet memories that my womb has been carrying for my whole life, and maybe for lifetimes, and for my mother and my grandmother and the whole generations, all of this that I'm carrying, that I can pray for her guidance to hold me and to be my mother.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so beautiful. And I love the part with like communicating and worshiping and praying through your body as a direct channel. I think that is so beautiful to embody that energy. And it sounds so beautiful when you say that. And I think that's what everyone is longing for, to be honest, with everything that's happening and everything that we see. There's a great wound in the connection with the Great Mother, which leads to a lot of pain and suffering and negative things that are happening because we're not connected to that and not feeling safe and nourished. So it can come out in so many different ways, both in men and women. And that's I think that is the healing of the world, the balancing and coming back to the mother. I really believe that is the healing of all, and that has to manifest in the physical to be able to create these shifts of being so imbalanced. The yin and yang is not balanced at all, and everything that we see in the world right now is a direct imbalance in the yang energy. That's in the highest perspective that we can take anything beyond beliefs, religion, beyond everything that we see is an imbalance. So I think that what you're saying is so beautiful, and being that direct channel yourself, it creates so much beauty and comfort around yourself and others as well. So it's really again just the intention to connect, and the intention to be in devotion to yourself and to that divine essence is really the key to unlocking so much healing and insights. And I think when we dedicate ourselves to that path, we can always come back to the rest and the comfort, and then knowing that we're supported and held, no matter what's happening in the physical life that we live, and no matter what relationships we have or don't have. And I think that that connection is so beautiful, and it's something that doesn't have to ever change or shift. It just is. So that we just have to remind ourselves of it and come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love everything you say. It resonates so deeply with me, and I really agree with you that it's the remembrance, because we do already have this divine connection to ourselves and to the Great Mother. It's already in us. It's just that there is some pain often covering it, or some stress and tension in our bodies that might be preventing us from feeling open to it. And it also makes me think of how I often, again, coming back to the earth, to Mother Earth, that when I go into the forest or when I go into the mountains in Norway, I do directly feel that my body opens and it sighs, and I can feel that divine feminine connection to the mother. So I feel like the earth is really such a instant and powerful mirror for how it is already in us. We can already feel it by being with her and feeling, taking in that healing aspects of the earth.
Yeah, it's so tangible and there. So it is probably the easiest way to just connect in that way. If we're struggling to connect, then we're trying to find a path. That is such a beautiful and easy way to do it, especially in this week we have this beautiful abundance of midsummer and working with everything that she's giving us. It's like gifting us right now, so it's really beautiful. And I would love for you to share what type of, because you're sharing so much beautiful things, classes and healing work and everything, and you have a retreat coming up. I would love for you to share this with the listeners that might be interested and need to do this work, just as you and me are doing right now.
Yeah. So now during the summer, I focus mainly on holding retreats. Usually during spring and autumn, I also hold online classes, and I'm also in the planning of a course, an online course. But now during the summer, I have a women's retreat coming up now in July. It's starting on the 8th of July here in Shambhala Gatherings. And this is where I combine the parts that has been most essential for me on my journey. So we will have womb healing classes, and we will also have daily yoga nidras, which is another really beautiful, for me, feminine tool of healing, where all that might be coming up during the retreat, we can process all the emotions that are coming up and the memories that come up. We can process during yoga nidra, which is, you can call it dynamic not a dynamic a sleep meditation. So you go into really deep states of rest. So that's another part of the retreat. And maybe most importantly is that we will sit in womb circles, what I call womb circles, which is when women come together and we talk about how it is to be a woman, and we share intimately how we experience being a woman and the wounds that we carry. And it's such beautiful healing that can happen when we come together in a womb circle, and we all meet with open hearts, with non-judgmentalness, and with the deepest love, where we can feel that we have the trust to open up and to share our stories and our pain. And the beauty is that when we come together and we share what is surfacing in us, we start to realize that all the pain that we are carrying around our bodies, our menstruation, our sexuality, our relationship to ourself, our mother, our sisters. When we start to share that, and we, in a circle of women, we realize that we are not the only ones holding this. We are not the only ones that are wounded. We are actually quite normal facing all of this pain. And that's where the true magic happens. That's where we can really heal. And in combination with that, we also talk about feminine psychology and understanding our mind, and understanding what I like to call our inner weather, our emotions, our ocean of emotion. So that's a profound healing experience for many women. And also being in the midst of the Swedish forest, we have so much nature around us. So she will also hold us very, very profoundly. And we are situated in front of a lake, so you can swim naked in the lake if you feel like. We have a floating sauna, so Mother Earth her presence will be very, very present during this retreat.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place, and what a beautiful theme. And as you said, it's so healing to meet in that womb circle, sister circle together, and just heal together, because it's really the sharing and connecting that can create transformation, I see, and I've seen in my life. So I think it's such a beautiful space, and the retreat will be physically here in Sweden, and I'm going to share the link to it in the show notes if anyone is here and wanting to join in July, and also the links to your website and social media, so people can connect with you, maybe when you're doing also hosting online courses and classes, because they're amazing. So I can definitely recommend everyone to check that out. And I'm wondering if you want to share one last thing before we close the call.
Yeah, I think the last part that I didn't mention about the retreat, which I think, the name of the retreat is embodying your feminine essence. And what I have noticed in myself and in several women that have been with me is that we often feel that I don't feel feminine, and I feel so disconnected from myself. So So this work that we will be doing is to remember our own unique feminine essence, which is different from any other woman. You have your own unique expression that is so beautiful and radiant. So I would love to see you here or online or sometime another time.
Yes, and I want to also thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing your wisdom, your path, and everything that you're doing with all of us. It's so inspirational, so beautiful, and important for the world. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, Shirin, for inviting me. It's been an honor to share this space with you.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you loved this episode, this conversation with Jenny. I felt so healed and blessed by it. And if you want to check her out, you have her links and afeminineway.com here in the show notes. And she's also a Feminine Way on Instagram. And her retreat, Embody Your Feminine Essence, here in Sweden in July. You can find the links in the show notes as well. And I hope that you have a beautiful, abundant rest of this week, of this midsummer week, and that you take in all of the beauty and love and fertility of Mother Earth into yourself. So let's take a deep breath in together, in through the nose, and exhaling out through the mouth. Om Shanti.